My name is Frida Hogan. I'm a clarinet section leader in the Big Red Marching Machine, and today I'm here to teach the soprano part of the ISU Alma Mater. We'll start by just going through the words line by line. So I'll say one line, and I'll leave enough space for you to repeat it back. So the first line is, "Glory hast thou, might and power, proud the halls of ISU. Deeds that live in song and story, loyal sons and daughters true. So shalt thou, with years increasing, send thy grads of honest worth, forth to bear with zeal unceasing, wisdom's torch throughout the earth." And then in our arrangement, we will actually sing those last two phrases twice, but I'm not going to make y'all repeat them back to me twice. So all of the words together, and you can say it along with me if you'd like, are, "Glory hast thou, might and power, proud the halls of ISU. Deeds that live in song and story, loyal sons and daughters true. So shalt thou, with years increasing, send thy grads of honest worth, forth to bear with zeal unceasing, wisdom's torch throughout the earth." So if you need to take a second to pause the video and read through the words a couple times in your music, that is great. It's a lot easier to go through the pitches once you're really comfortable with the words. So with that being said, let's start singing some pitches. I will sing everything twice, once so you can just get it in your ear, and the second time so you can sing along if you feel comfortable. So let's start with the first half of the first phrase, which starts on an E flat, so I'll give you that pitch and you can hum along if you want. Glory hast thou, might and power. And now you can join me. Glory hast thou, might and power. And now the second half of that phrase starts on the C. Proud the halls of ISU. One more time. Proud the halls of ISU. And now let's do that whole phrase all at once. I'll give you the E flat. Glory hast thou, might and power, proud the halls of ISU. And then the second phrase is actually the same pitches as the first, so we'll go through that whole phrase all at once. I'll sing it, and then I'll sing it again so you can sing along. Deeds that live in song and story, loyal sons and daughters true. Now let's do it again together. Deeds that live in song and story, loyal sons and daughters true. So that's just the same phrase twice. It's really easy to sing. So let's go through that whole page together. So starting on the E flat. Glory hast thou, might and power, proud the halls of ISU. Deeds that live in song and story, loyal sons and daughters true. So then the next phrase is something different, but it definitely establishes a pattern, so you'll get comfortable with it really fast. So we start on an F here. I have to check the pitches for the piano. So shalt thou, with years increasing. Let's do that together. So shalt thou, with years increasing. And the next two bars are two of the most interesting bars in the piece because you have a chromatic note. You have that A natural, starting on the B flat. Send thy grads of honest worth. So let's go from so shalt thou to there all together. So shalt thou, with years increasing, send thy grads of honest worth. And now this phrase is the phrase that's going to repeat twice. So we'll practice it, and then it'll be really easy to learn the following one. So starting on fourth to bear, it starts on this high E flat, which I know is an uncomfortable note for some of us who like to pretend we sing soprano, myself included. If it feels really uncomfortable, there is an alto video that you can watch. But if not, here's that E flat. Fourth to bear with seal unceasing. Now let's do that again. Make sure you get a nice big breath for that E flat if you're a barely soprano like me. Fourth to bear with zeal unceasing. And then the next half of that phrase starts on that F. Wisdom's torch throughout the earth. So let's do that whole phrase from that high E flat all together. Fourth to bear with zeal unceasing. Wisdom's torch throughout the earth. And let's go from so shalt thou all the way to there all together, just so we're getting those pieces in our heads. So shalt thou with years increasing send thy grads of honest worth forth to bear with zeal unceasing wisdom's torch throughout the earth. So this phrase starts the same for everyone, but I'm actually going to teach it twice. This first time that we go through, we're going to go through the first soprano part, which goes higher than the second soprano part. Go ahead and watch both, but if you just want the second soprano part, you know you don't want to sing that high E flat, I will put a link in the description of this video with a place that you can skip to just get the second soprano part. So starting with the first soprano part, it starts exactly the same as the last phrase on fourth to bear, right on that high E flat. Fourth to bear with zeal unceasing. And here's where it gets different. The rhythm is the same, but we're going to leap up to that high F. Wisdom's torch throughout. Let's do that together, and just make sure you have a lot of air to get that high F. Wisdom's torch throughout. And then the last two bars are just the earth. And I can't hold that high E flat for that long. Just know that it's 8 counts. So let's go through the whole last phrase, starting on fourth to bear with for the second time. Just the first soprano part. Fourth to bear with zeal unceasing, wisdom's torch throughout the earth. I can't sing that note for that long. So now let's move on to the second soprano part, which just doesn't have to hold that high E flat for as long, which I know can be really uncomfortable for some people who are just barely sopranos. So the beginning of that phrase starts off exactly the same as for the first sopranos and exactly the same as the previous phrase. So we'll just go through it once, starting on fourth to bear with for the second time, measure 17. Fourth to bear with zeal unceasing. We're familiar with that. And now this is where it gets a little bit different. I'll do the first 2 bars and then I'll do the last 2 bars. Wisdom's torch throughout thee. So you'll notice in the divided part in measure 19, our A flat is a quarter note, while the first sopranos have an 8th note leaping up to that high F that we don't want to sing as second sopranos. So make sure that you hold that out as a quarter note instead of trying to make that leap. Also make sure that you're really conscious of where you come in and make sure you're right on the end of 1. So let's go through those 2 measures again. Wisdom's torch throughout thee. And now this is one of the most interesting parts of the whole piece. The second sopranos and the basses have this, and it's just so much fun to sing. Instead of singing the last word earth, we get new words throughout the earth. And you'll notice in your part that you have a really interesting note there. You have a concert C flat. I say concert because I'm a clarinetist. It's just a C flat. So let's go through that pitch by pitch, and I'll go real slow. now at tempo. And I know the piano is a little messy there. So now let's go through from measure 19, Wisdom's Torch, starting on this F. Wisdom's torch. Now with the right notes. Wisdom's torch throughout the earth. And that's a lot more comfortable than the first soprano part in range. So now I'm going to sing through the whole Alma Mater twice. You're welcome to sing along. The first time I sing it, I will do the first soprano part's ending, and the second time I sing through it, I will do the second soprano part's ending. It's a really great idea if you want to practice along with the one you're not singing so you can get used to hearing the other part. I will not be holding the last note of the first soprano part for a full 8 counts because I can't hold a high E flat that long. So the first soprano part ending, starting all the way from the very beginning. Here's that concert E flat. Glory has the might and power, ruled the halls of ISU, deeds that live in song and story, loyal sons and daughters true, so shalt thou with years increasing send thy grads of honest worth forth to bear with zeal unceasing wisdom's torch throughout the earth, forth to bear with zeal unceasing wisdom's torch throughout the earth. Sorry for the little mistake in the piano there. Now let's move on to the version where I sing the second soprano part. This time, hopefully with all the right piano notes. E flat. Glory hast thou might and power, ruled the halls of ISU, deeds that live in song and story, loyal sons and daughters true, so shalt thou with years increasing send thy grads of honest worth forth to bear with zeal unceasing wisdom's torch throughout the earth, forth to bear with zeal unceasing wisdom's torch throughout the earth. I hope that's been helpful if you're either learning the Alma Mater for the first time or coming back to it after a while. I can't wait to hear you all sing it because it's such a magical experience in the Big Red Marching Machine.